G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. Today we are reviewing a crushing round 9 with injuries galore, going through the bogs and flogs, naming our trade targets and answering all of your questions.
Let's go Celtics! I need it! Let's go!
Just done it from nowhere. Hoisted the goal from inside the centre. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty. Brown Kenny.
Petrarca! Oh wow! How good is that? The legend becomes immortal.
G'day and welcome again to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host Mitch Casey and you can find me on Twitter at Ball Boys Fantasy, joined as always by Luke Rojo, coach of the Mighty Oxlongs. How are you, mate?
I hope that fucking let's go thing's not getting another run. That was rubbish. What the hell is going on?
Celtics! Let's go! Hey, mate, I am
The absolute fucking walkover, mate.
I am clinging onto any happiness, any shred of joy that I can find in the sports world right now.
Speaking of which, mate, I couldn't find any tissues, so I bought you some shit tickets in case you start crying
thanks,
during
mate.
the
I
podcast,
might need that
mate.
when we get to a certain game later on. But
Yeah.
like I said, I'm clinging onto any happiness, and with my boy Jason Tatum going for 51 today, and the Celtics winning Game 7, moving on to the conference finals.
Mate,
It's got me up and about, Luke.
yeah, good. I'm glad you had something to get you up and about because you were very limp, let's say,
Yes,
on Saturday. We'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah, as most of you guys will know, Mitch was not a happy boy.
Yeah, look, after Saturday, which, by the way, we had a great time. Shout out to the traders and everyone who was there at the Pineapple before the Brisbane Lions Essendon game. And
I was going to talk about it later, but the traders were the only thing I think that stopped you from openly weeping
mate,
at the Pineapple
if
Hotel.
I wasn't in public and I didn't, have other people there and I was distracted, we were talking to people. I actually didn't watch all that much footy while we were there, but if that wasn't the case, I would have been punching couches, throwing things around the living room. It would have been a disaster. So, look, if it had to happen, that was not the worst time for it to happen in the environment that I was in. But shout out to the traders for a good event that happened on the weekend. And it was good to finally meet those legends in person.
Absolutely, and they say don't meet your heroes, but I think fuck that. Those blokes were fantastic.
They're
hey?
epic, yeah.
Very just as you see them when you're watching their show, very approachable and friendly guys. So much appreciated. Thanks for having us there.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's maybe get stuck right into it. I've got to change me sounds over to this one right here.
And the winner of the Norm Smith Medal.
You're an embarrassment to what you do, mate. You're an embarrassment.
Speaking of joy, though, I mean, outside of, obviously, I've kind of forgotten this game because it was pre-disaster in the round, but the bloody hot take, mate.
Well, I was going to save it for my spicy take segment later, but
okay.
mate, the Tigers got up.
Tigers?
And I should have queued up a bloody replay just really to gloat and rub it in, but
Well, you retweeted it.
I did, actually.
So you've already done
So
that.
I've done enough gloating. But,
Double dip.
Yeah. But, yeah, that was the spicy take on Friday afternoon, and it came true. So that was...
Richmond actually looked like Richmond for the first time in a long time.
Mate.
So...
And leading the charge fantasy-wise was
who's
our first bog was Timmy T. He's is he the only bloke on the ton run still?
No,
Or
Clayton Oliver is still
Clary's
there.
still there.
So they're two going strong. And I'd have
it,
to...
eh?
Want to double check? I wonder what the longest ton run is to open the season out, because I had to think we're getting pretty close to that.
It'd have to. What are we, 9 rounds in now?
Not even one score below 100. Not even like a 99 or anything like that.
Yeah.
And both these boys still going strong.
That's fucked up, hey?
Yeah, it is actually pretty crazy. So
Like in a good way. Of
yeah,
course.
obviously he made the big boys, but he was low down on the big boys. So
He should have been. Well, I think of all the big boys, he might have even been the highest scorer.
He
this
might have
week.
been actually, yeah.
So-
Which was a lower scoring captain's round, but yeah, if you VC'd him, you'd be very happy.
We didn't expect Richmond to play like that. So
The flog I've got here, there wasn't too much floggery, so I
yeah,
kind
fucking
of.
explain this. This bloke went well. You prick.
Jaden Short is the flog.
How?
Pick your position, mate, and stick with it so I know what to expect from you moving forward and what are we going to get from you. Because the guy's playing half back, he's playing on the wing, he's playing centre bounces. Like, what are we doing with Jaden Short? And maybe this is a dimmer thing, but He was back in the mids again, 13 CBAs again this week. And look, on the surface, you think he's going to be getting DPP.
Yeah.
But if he keeps playing in the midfield and at a high rate, there's actually a chance that he doesn't get that like we assumed he had locked it in. And even if he does, and he's playing in the midfield by the time it comes around, like, do we want him in our teams? Like, we've seen what he does as a midfielder. It's wrapping my brain. So Jaden Short, just stay in the back line so we can pick you with confidence. But
Caught that floggery for not picking a position.
Yep. All right, move on to the next one.
Yep.
West Coast versus Suns. Who's our best on ground?
Oh, the Bog. For people who either held or were forced to hold Jimby, the bloke's come out and laid 16 tackles.
Kissed.
Yeah. But, I think he's come out for like a 95 or something. And there were some people that unfortunately had it on the bench and then like trying to loop it and whatnot. But if you did have him and you did have it on field, then good on you, Jimby. You're the Bog for that game.
Yeah, he would have kickstarted a little bit more cash generation as well. Gone up another 28K. He's ticked over the 500K mark and his break-even's back down at 36 again.
Who's your flog, mate?
Flog for this one. Again, not too much floggery happening, but Noah Anderson disappointed owners who were potentially expecting a big score against West Coast. There was the flag with Jinby, who obviously fucking tackled him a lot of times, so perhaps he did limit his scoring. But 86, owners were expecting more than that. A lot of people might have VC'd him. He was high on the big boys as well. I actually, for the first time this season, I've taken the C off Taranto in my draft team, and I've put it on Noah Anderson, and that's, come back to bite me immediately. So Noah Anderson just... Look, you flogged him. He probably was just turning over in second gear, but no, we don't want that. We want absolute beast mode the whole game.
Yeah, correct. Now, the Sydney Freo game was obviously a tough watch after Mills went down, but Mitch told you that Errol would average 160 in the preseason, and he's come out and he's going that way.
Bang, bang.
Well
Twice
done.
in a row.
Well done, Mitch. Big on the Errol call preseason, and
he's
done well.
He's a ball boy,
Yeah.
He's our boy. We can all share in
Okay,
him.
thank you. Appreciate that.
He's not just mine. We can all share in Errol. But yeah, 161 against the Pies, tough team. 150 against Freo.
Yeah,
Another
anytime you go
defensive
back-to-back
team,
150s, you're a serious player.
I think he's the youngest player to do so in AFL fantasy history. I think I saw a stat on the weekend, which was pretty crazy. The flog for me here is AFL fantasy. AFL fantasy is a flog of a game because what are we doing? We do all this work. Lots of hours. We go through the stats. We can do all the work in the world. We trade in Callum Mills, who's an underpriced guy. He's getting the CBAs, the roles there, and it can just all be undone 3 minutes into the game and done a calf. And look, not only is it the fact that you probably missed out on about 100 points from the guy you expected to go 100, his price plummets. You now have to spend a trade this week that you were hoping not to spend on trading him back out. You then have to spend more to get up to the guy, and it's just the sliding doors moments. And it's ironic because I put sliding doors as the tag on the last video, but
I might need those tissues, mate. You get I'm welling up over here. It's fucked up.
Why do we play this game, Luke? It's it's crushing. It's absolutely crushing, and I feel obviously. I feel sorry for myself, but I feel sorry for everyone else who traded him in because I stand by the fact that it was a smart trade.
Yeah.
I think all the signs were there. Even Selby came out, and when he says something like that, you go, okay, it makes me feel a little bit better because he thought it was a good move. But what can you do? It's there's obviously a lot of luck sometimes going into these sort of things.
It's part and parcel of it, but yeah, it really does suck. North Melbourne Port was our next game, and for the second week in a row, Zachary Butters.
Zachy Butters.
Just getting it done. We said this last week, but that role was looking good, and he's backed it up with a couple of big scores. So
best score of the season.
He's a guy that we've been on for a few weeks now, and he's just starting to reward us. So good on you, Zach.
And his teammate gets the flog of the week.
No.
Connor Rozee going sub 80 for the second time this season, but this time against, again, an easy opponent in North Melbourne. Come on, man. Where was all these goals and stuff you were kicking against West Coast? Another easy matchup. Again, on the big boys, letting the segment down. So
he was a little boy.
Just disappointing for Connor Rozee there. So he gets the flog.
Hawks Demons, Clary just keeps doing it, doesn't it? It's like enough said, isn't it?
Yeah, fucking Clary. We're all going to have to get on at some point. It's been painful trying to pick the spot where he gets down. He's finally below $1 million, though, for us non-owners, but he's 999,000. He's just ticked over by 1K, so he's been amazing. Flog for this one. Again, not too much floggery going on, but Will Day was underwhelming, scoring, I think, 77 on the weekend, so lost a bit of cash as well. And, when we traded him back in, a lot of us, we wanted him to be top 6 defender, which he obviously still could be, but we want those scores around that 100, not these 70s.
The role still looks good. He's getting a lot of the pills, so it's just one of those ones where maybe he's had a couple of down weeks. Yeah. Now, this guy, I've given the bog for people who held him. Setterfield went mid-90s, and good on him. But another illustration of why this game's fucked. Like, I've had a lot of things, go my way as well this season. But last week, Setterfield's role looks shit.
Yep.
Mills looks like he's bottomed out. You've
gone early on the Setterfield.
Gone early on the Setterfield, and I've been validated by like a 50 or some shit like that.
Yep.
And then Mills looks all good. And
gets 110.
Gets 110. And now this week they come out, Parrish's calf's fucked. Setterfield back in the midfield. He almost goes 100. Mills comes out and gets 3 and does a calf.
Yep.
It's
like, And this is the classic don't judge a trade after 1 week kind of scenario. Like, a week is such a long time in AFL fantasy.
I was king shit last week. Was like, look at my trades. Look at my trades.
You still have Setterfield?
I
traded him last week.
And then the fucking Darcy Parrish's weak calves.
Oh, yes. So, look, it's a long time in AFL fantasy, 1 week, let alone, we're only sort of week 9 in a 24-week season. So, lots still to happen, but no.
My I didn't tell you in the end, but my rank only went down 800 spots.
I only went down a few hundred too, so
which is
which almost frustrates me more because I'm like,
it could have been.
I'm on the right track, and the trade had I just got an average score from
a 2200 would have sent you up.
Yeah, I would have been 2250 if I just had Mills, or even if I had emergency, I would have cracked 2200 and moved up in rank. But anyway, we digress. Flog for this game. I'm going to give it to the coach, Brad Scott, Bad Scott, as he's sometimes called, for just a little tinkering in that game. You watched this game as well, and obviously your trade in Zach Merritt was missing in the CBAs at the last quarter.
Yeah, this was a hard watch too because I sort of had the option to go Brayshaw or Merritt, and I considered Merritt and his good run over sort of the next 4 weeks, not necessarily the Lions on the weekend, but the following 3 weeks.
Yep.
And there was really nothing stopping Merritt from going big in this game. I think he had 55 to halftime, and then in the last quarter,
parked up forward.
0 CBAs, just playing across half forward. And the thing that's perplexing for me as well is he's their best midfielder. Easily. Their second best midfielder is out for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And your best midfielder's CBAs go down. Like, it
doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Unless you're an Essendon fan and maybe you have some better knowledge than I do, that just doesn't seem to me to compute.
Surely it's the coach sort of. I mean, again, I didn't watch this game. You were watching this game. Was the game like at 3/4 time, like basically over? It was out of reach. Basically just conceding. And
I don't think it was out of reach, but it was never a game that you felt like, Essendon might come back and win this. But I don't understand it. But hopefully the next 3 weeks with that easy matchup, he'll be back in there and he'll be scoring big for me.
Yeah. So that's only his second score under 100 so far this round. And
I traded him in for it.
You traded him in for it. Look. I still think that if that's going to be like your lowest score of the season, that's not too bad. So hopefully that's just what it was, and you can be rewarded next week again. Don't judge a trade after 1 week. So let's move on to the next game. Carlton versus Western Bulldogs. Bog. Okay, I'm seeing this name here, and this has to be a typo.
I put Bevo as the Bog because Bailey Smith was finally back in at the CBAs.
Okay, Bevo shouldn't be rewarded for...
Wait, let's caveat on that. Next week, Bevo could be the flog because Bailey Smith's just as likely to be straight out of the CBAs.
So Bevo gets the best on ground for doing something obvious.
Well done, Bevo.
Well done.
Well done, mate. Congratulations. But Bailey Smith was in second highest in his team, I think maybe third highest, Bonton Libba potentially. Fact check me there. But that's, for me, if that role is maintained,
noteworthy.
That makes Bailey Smith a really, really great DPP option. The only thing we're both looking at is potentially forward lines that are chockers at the minute. But, I think he could be a good value option if that role sticks. But how the fuck do you know if that role sticks? That's the problem.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm looking at the CBAs here. Jack McRae, 68% time on ground, 2 CBAs for the entire game. So you're saying best on ground Bevo. I think the McRae owners might disagree with you.
But we weren't big on McRae.
No, we weren't big on McRae. It's validating our opinions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about what we want.
That's right. So interesting to see how that moves forward. But obviously, Bevo doing Bevo things. The flog for me, and it pains me to say this,
Stale bread.
the bread. Flog-ish behaviour, mate. I was getting comfortable just, having him on my field, not even worrying about it. He'll be good for a 60, 70.
Yep.
And then he comes out 22, one of the worst scorers in the game. Still had the same role in the defensive half. Just didn't get any of the ball.
Yeah, it was pretty poor, especially I think you might have had it as well, but Wilmot sitting there on the bench with a 60.
Yep. It always sucks when your bench outscores your guy on field by 40 plus.
And who picks that, right? So
yeah, no, you never would. I mean, I don't think it hurts many of us because we probably all had him on the field, but it just calls into questions like things that we didn't want to have to ask at this point. We wanted him to just ride through to the buys and be the last guy that we upgrade, but now his cash is going to be much slower, so he gets a flog for that one.
It stinks. Adelaide, St Kilda, we both had to ride this fella in as a captain, and I think as far as having to ride a guy into Sunday as a captain, if he pops out a 116, you're happy with that. Like
you're happy, yeah.
It's not. We were probably greedy because of what happened to Mills. We were hoping if Dawson goes like a 150, 160 here, this could be
salvage something. Yeah,
but.
The fact that we missed the Taranto 129, we were hoping let's try and get 130, that would be it. But 116,
it could have been a lot worse.
Yes,
when you have to actually ride a captain, it's a bit more nerve wracking than watching the VC.
We've had a few VCs, do well for us. So
who was your St Kilda flog here?
So the flog here is the St Kilda media team. Just put us out of our misery and tell us that Rowan Marshall's playing. Because there were people panicking all weekend. Is he playing? Is he not? Do we have any sources? I think, shout out to another podcaster out there in The Statesman, traded Rowan Marshall. I don't know if it's entirely because of that, but I'm sure.
He did say it was unrelated to that speculation. It's a more strategic move for him. So credit to the Stato. He's gone with something aggressive, and I like it. I was keen to see whether it pays off for him.
Yeah, well, week one, I'd have to say it's a little bit of a down, but again,
I think he's looking towards the buy, so we'll see how that pans out.
But just put us out of our misery. Let us know he's playing. Just come out and say he's playing.
No, that'd be too simple. That'd be too simple.
Yeah,
I don't
AFL
like that,
teams. That's like I said, too simple.
Yep.
All right, let's go on to Collingwood versus Giants. Interesting bog you've got here.
Yeah, my bog here, Tom Green. Well done, son. You've popped out a really big score, and then you just checked yourself, and you're back to an 80, which Mitch and I just
30 touches.
We loved because, like I said, my ranking only dived. By 800 overall, but in that last game, I think it dived by like 6,000.
I think we were above. We made rank until
well
above.
I've made like 5,000 rank with a Mills 3, and then it was just
it was Tom Green, I think
rolling down the hill.
A few Kellys and Cogs owners there as well. So, mate, 30 touches, didn't lay too many tackles, which was nice. So just ticking the legs over. Yeah.
And this flog you've got here, I couldn't agree more. Tell me why.
Yeah, look, I'm a flog.
Yeah.
I'm a flog because I got a bit cute with my downgrades. I was jumping for joy when the Mac was named Cameron Fleeton. Fleetwood Mac, for those playing along. Look, I brought him in, threw him straight onto my ground at a bit of hope. When Drury got his 25, I couldn't loop that score on. And compared to the guy that I was tossing up before he was named in Sharp from Brisbane, there's about a 40-point difference there.
Fucking carry on too when you traded him in. You're like, yep, welcome to Richmond.
I just thought he was my saviour.
It's good, but mate, he made you 5K, so well done.
Chances are he's going to get dropped and he'll be a red dot on my
I'm trading him
team.
in this
So
week,
I'm sorry if I convinced you to bring him in. I was it was very speculative, so I hope people knew the risk they were taking if they did bring him in. But fingers crossed that he is still there. That Cumming doesn't come back in.
Cumming's going.
Cumming stays gone.
That sums up Bogs and Flogs.
And the winner of the Norm Smith Medal.
You're an embarrassment to what you do, mate. You're an embarrassment.
Pressing my buttons there, mate.
I just guessed too, and I got it right. That would have been risky.
Yeah,
what other button? Which other buttons? What do they do?
Mate, don't touch them. They're mine.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to...
Is it spicy? Oh, no.
Not quite, mate. We're on to news of the weekend. Are you going to get your little graphic up there on the
There's
video?
no graphic.
Oh, we got rid of the graphic. Mate, we keep...
Do we get a graphic of Errol Goulden's heat map? Yeah, did you screenshot that?
No, we didn't, but I'll have to tweet that
Dead
out.
set. Anyone, I don't know if it's still the
epic
same,
heat
but
map.
Errol Goulden's heat map looks like a penis.
There's
There's no other way to put it, but does it still look like a penis, or do you get a few more touches?
Nope, still looks like a big old dick and balls right there. So
we should have put that up on the screen.
Anyway,
go check out Errol Goulden's heat map.
I'm sure I'll tweet this out, but he.
That's because he dicked the opposition.
I was going to say, he did the Oxlongs proud on that game.
He did, mate.
He did you proud.
That's fucking good, eh?
Let's move on to some news of the week. And the news probably starts and ends with a lot of the midfield premium injuries.
Oh, my days.
We've got a list here. So Callum Mills obviously has done his calf. Highly unlikely to play this weekend, according to the coach. Rory Laird got subbed out. I think it was at the start of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he copped a
big
shot. Yeah, he did. So he came off a little bit sore. I think Laird's going to play this week.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it was more a matter of we've got this game under wraps.
Let's give our star player.
Yeah, so ribs, winding. I heard the traders talking about, but I don't think it's a concern for this week.
Yeah, so it just sucks for those who might have had the captaincy on him
and there
as
were a
well.
few.
So hopefully he is good. Steele is maybe a little bit more. I mean, again, I haven't tuned into the news too much today, but he had ice on the knee. I think was where he had ice, and that seems to me a little bit more. Potentially could be something that lingers on moving forward. I think he is someone that we're definitely probably waiting for after the bye. If you don't have him, obviously if you have him, you're watching. And if he doesn't come back, if he doesn't get up this week, I think he could be someone you probably could trade out because of the uncertainty around it.
Yeah.
But stay tuned for some more news on that one there.
Yeah, we'll talk about trading targets in a little bit, but I certainly don't think he would be one with that high break even. You can probably wait. Who else was injured?
LDU, I think, also had done a hamstring and... scored all right, had 95 on the weekend.
Nice if Mills could have scored 95 before he went off.
Yeah, I know, right? It's sliding doors again. But, again, someone who I was probably looking at, could very well be a Storm over here in Brizzy. Someone who I was looking at after the Mills injury happened, I'm like, okay, shit, who's cheap right now? And LDU I knew was in that mid-700s, had that high break even, and he's getting very cheap at the moment despite how poor he has been.
Yeah.
But there goes that option. He's gone and injured himself now. So I think you're going to have to wait for him to come back and show you something.
You've added Jacob Hopper to the list. This is not a Supercoach podcast, mate.
Mate, just spare a thought for my Supercoach team.
You just wanted to segue into talking about your fucking Supercoach team.
Hopper. I had someone else, I'm sure of it. Who was it? Someone else I had.
No, it wasn't Mills, was it?
No, I didn't trade in Mills. There was someone. LDU, Steele, Hopper, 3 premium mids, all injured, and I've got no boosts left, so...
boost. Your team's fucked.
Yeah, I'm fucked in that format. And then the last one here that you've popped in, I haven't seen too much about this, but Petrarca and his foot. What have you heard?
I don't think it's something to be concerned about in terms of him missing, but I think it happened right at the end of the game. Just got caught up in a tackle. One of those ones where when you look at it, you think, oh shit, that could be bad.
Right.
But by all reports...
So far, so good. No news is good news.
By all reports, I think the track is going to be good to go, but stay tuned. Just bloody premium mids getting injured this week.
So what this does, and we'll talk about our trading targets later, but there's just a lot of guys where you're probably not trading into this week because of knocks and niggles and bruises and things that they're coming off and you're a bit unsure. So it makes the targets harder to identify in this particular week, in my opinion. So, I think a lot of these guys, it's just a case of let's stay across the news when we get closer to teams and the weekend. But keep an eye on some of those boys. And then the last one, not a premium, but Ollie Hollins was subbed out for Carlton. It says on the app there that he was a sub injured. Doing a quick little search.
They throw that injury tag out.
They throw it out so quickly. Doing a little search, again, didn't manage to catch this game, but...
Let us
do
know.
a little quick search. I couldn't find anything about it, but some people may be suggesting that he's getting a bit tired. He might need a bit of a break.
Isn't the bloke like elite fitness?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's done well to keep it up as much as he has so far this season compared to other rooks. So.
Carlton fans, let us know. Why was Holland subbed out?
Why was Holland subbed? I don't have to worry about that anymore because I traded him out to Mills. So
that's good. I'm glad you don't have to worry about that, mate. It's good, actually.
Thinking of all the positives, mate. Thinking of all the positives.
You're such a silver linings guy, eh? Well done.
So, he is someone that maybe is due to be your guy that is an upgrade if you have the luxury to do so.
Full. Can I press... Oh, actually, I don't... Do I need to press the button?
Yeah, go on. You're the button man now.
Ooh. Nice.
Go ahead, brag again
Spicy
about your
takes.
spicy take.
Well, I'm glad you said something, Mitch, because last Friday I said that the Tigs had beat the Cats, and I didn't say it with any confidence.
No, you didn't.
I didn't, but now...
You're a genius.
I am a genius, but I'm back to being king shit. So the Tigs got up, and it wasn't my only spicy take. I did say that the Rat might have jet lag. And
well, he might have for the first half.
So I said the Rat might go sub 50, and at quarter time I was licking my lips.
You were
with
looking
that
like
spicy.
another genius.
We were both licking our lips because
and
neither
then we
of us had it.
foolishly tuned into that game, and he started playing well.
Yeah, the minute we tuned in, I think he was incentivized, and he went 40 odd in the third quarter.
He
so
went to show us. So
he did well for owners. So good on you, Rat. But,
my spicy take did not. I won't give myself this one. Although he did have the midfield roll back again, but Setterfield to hit his break even was my spicy take. He did not quite get there, about 30 points off. So maybe if he'd turned up, I would have given it myself, but I can't stretch it that far. But I think break even is now 103. Hopefully that's the end of his sort of cash drop.
Yep.
With a couple of good matchups coming up. So hopefully it's back up from here. So
we've been going all right with the spicy takes, I reckon.
Well, 3 in a row, mate, from at least one of us.
Yeah. Yours have been flexible, but, we'll claim it wherever we can.
Absolutely.
Have you got those kung fu hands ready, mate?
All right, I've forgotten.
Oh, no. Here we go. I'm actually going to get you a headband one of these days so you can really pull one on. But chopping block.
Chopping block's a bit interesting this week and kind of from here on out because I feel like we are now starting to get to the point of the season where we're getting close to the buys. We're going into round 10. So we've got round 10, then around 11 before the buys start.
Yep.
So at this point of the season, look, ideally you're doing rookie upgrades. You're getting your worst rookie off the field to the best premium you can afford. But with cash being tight for a lot of teams out there.
Like a toiger.
That might not always be possible, but I think at this point, any mid-pricer, any rookie that you have on your field, with the exception of Harry Sheezel, he is no longer a rookie, he is a premium, and potentially Ashcroft, if you held him because of the good score on the weekend, his break-even is now a bit lower. You might want to just try to continue to ride that cash.
Yeah. But
any mid-pricer, I think, is fair game to trade out. Even the ones that are doing well, so like Warpool, Stocker, who had a big score a couple weeks ago, he followed up with another Stocker-like score. Any of those guys, I think you trade them out if they're your ticket to get to the premium that you want.
Question to you, because this is my situation, I'm no doubt, other people's as well, but because there's no one that you can go down to in that rookie price bracket with real confidence, I'm finding that to get maybe that guy, that fattened rookie up to the premium that I want, I'm having to trade the other fattened rookie on the field, and then you end up with a rookie that you don't want on the field. So that's what
I did this last week. So I obviously did the peddler down to the Mac,
and you get burned
by I had to put Mac on the field. My rationale,
and it cost you 60 points.
It did cost me a lot of points. My rationale for that and why I was okay with it is, well, 2 reasons. I want to prioritize getting those rookies,
getting the premium.
Sorry. Peddler, as good as he's been, and he averages a lot better than some of those other rookies, he is still prone to scoring sub 50 scores.
Yeah.
So if it is your only way to get the premium and the rookie up to the premium, I still think it's worthwhile. And I think week to week you could get stung still, but when you look back, the odds are that you're going to come out ahead. Now, ideally you want to keep good rookies on the field. The other thing is what you can do is you can still play around with your loops. So we do have a double chance. It just so happens last week, the loop that I tried got a 25, and then he's backed up with another 31. So both the guys that I was trying to do on my field sucked, okay? But I think that if you play the odds, getting the upgrade and then having the chance to loop that final rookie, if it is like a poorer rookie on your field, it's not ideal, but in a season like this, I think it is a risk that could pay off in terms of just getting that premium when other people are maybe settling for the halfway guys.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to trade those guys out again anyway, whereas maybe you're a step closer to a completed team. So if Callum Mills, for example, the guy I traded in, and again, it sucks, he scored 3, but if he goes and scores 100, 110, then yes, Pedler had a good game, but I still think I'm coming out ahead.
Yeah, well, you still would have gone up in rank in that particular
I still would have gone up in rank, and
I
think moving forward, I don't have to do another trade to get that premium in.
Yeah, the other thing too, I guess, like you said, is those guys like Pedler, even though they're maybe the guys with better job security and stuff, they can still drop you a 30. And if you go into that halfway house that you talk about, some of those halfway house guys, they'll drop you a 60. Like, what did Fiorini have this week?
Exactly.
65. So.
Yeah. I do always feel like if you're making an upgrade, like you want to be certain that the guy you're trading in is like, there's like no world where he, apart from injury and doing a calf in 3 minutes, that they don't score, like that they score worse than the guy you're trading out. Do you know what I mean? Like if you traded a Hollins to a Fiorini, you make 1 point. You know what I mean?
No
like there is a scenario where they outscore, like the rookie outscores the upgrade, if that makes sense. So I want to feel like those upgrades are genuine, like bankable upgrades versus ones that you're kind of crossing your fingers and hoping for, if that makes sense.
Now, because it serves our self-interest, what are you thinking with Mills this week?
So this is the tough thing. I think ideally, when I have an injury in this portion of the season, you trade them down to a cheaper premium.
Yeah.
And then use the cash from that to get another mid-price or someone else up to another premium. You still try to make an upgrade. The issue with Mills is he is now $739,000, and there is no one cheaper than him that you're happy with.
And
he was as cheap as it was.
Realistically, even if he stayed at 800K, that wasn't a scenario either. But, it would have opened up your options.
But someone like, say it comes out this week that Steele is injured.
Yeah.
Like he's priced at 83K.
Yeah.
You might be able to do a situation like that where you bring him down to someone a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Use that cash to get someone else up. I still think that, especially with the lack of rookie trade-in targets, we're not confident about our downgrades, that's probably the best way to go about it. With Mills as a specific example, I think we've just got to try and get him up to the best target that we can. Still try and look for value.
Yeah.
Maybe use this opportunity because he is 739K. It's not going to take a whole lot of cash, but maybe use it as a chance to fix up a poor rookie on your bench.
Yep.
Kickstart a bit more of that cash generation. You might not get the biggest downgrade or a cash grab, but just try and get to the best value guy that you can would be the way I'm looking at that. But yeah, look, it sucks. This is the hardest part. Like, yeah, you miss out 100 points, but the fact that now you've got to spend a trade on a guy who's cheap as is probably the more hurtful thing in the long run, in my opinion. So,
what about, like, there's a lot of people who obviously don't have Mills either. What are your thoughts on if people are playing around with their trades and there's just no sort of way that they can get that rookie up to the premium or even their mid-pricer up to a premium? Are you looking at a double downgrade in any world, or?
I'm okay with a double downgrade if there are targets to double downgrade to.
Okay.
The issue with this season is there isn't. There is no one. Like,
double downgrade to donuts, baby.
Yeah, you're not bringing in red dots. The buys are still coming up. You need those green dots. You need those rookies playing. So, look, I would challenge everyone that you'd be able to do some kind of upgrade. Like, it might not be the most exciting upgrade, but you could probably, I think most people would be able to get Will Ashcroft to something.
Bailey Smith,
or like a Warple if you've got him to something. Or, some of these mid-prices to someone. I think that there is something you can do. So I would still be trying to do that. I'm not opposed to double downgrading. I've done it before in the past, but I've only done it when there are guys there to be had. And I just,
it doesn't look that way, does it?
I don't see that right now. Because even the guy with the lowest break even in Sharp, the reason I didn't go him is because his job security is shaky as hell. He's got the round 12 bye, so he's only got 2 games really to make cash before he's on his bye. And so
it's a fucking shit show.
It's not good. It's not looking good.
And on that very bleak note, should we actually talk trade targets?
Yeah, so trade targets. All right.
There are none.
There are none. No, there are some. There are some. So defenders, look, I think you put this guy at the top here.
Let's go.
Hayden Young. What's he got?
Somebody tweeted Hayden Young is the GOAT. Correct,
Amondo.
GOAT. He just needs to start eating grass like Matt Rao, and he's just GOAT status.
His last 3 games, 3 tons in a row. 112, 102, 108.
He's been a great pick since the start of the year, Mitch.
Mate, he's now averaging 90
Yeah.
So he's averaging more than what he was priced at the start.
So you pulled that stat last pod where if I don't watch him, he tons up.
110.
110.
It was.
Did I watch him on the weekend? Does that count, what we were doing?
We weren't really watching. We were chatting.
We were chatting with the traders, so we kind of weren't watching. So I think that
stat still holds up.
Yeah, it holds up. So I won't be watching this week. If anyone wants to bring in Hayden Young, I won't watch.
Don't tune into
You'll
Freo,
get an easy 110.
Yep, guaranteed. So I do have the confidence now that I've seen it 3 weeks in a row. It was a tough matchup as well against Sydney, who don't usually give up points to defenders. I think he is a decent trade. I think, again, though, the defenders, there's not a huge amount of value in a lot of these guys. So these guys, and not huge amount of value. Sam Doherty is an interesting one. He's not cheap, but he is cheap for what Sam Doherty could do. So 909,000, priced at 106. We know the back half of last year he went 115 after the bye.
Yep.
He is definitely someone to consider because a lot of us have already got lots of defenders.
Yeah.
But he is probably someone that we're going to want in our teams at some point.
Yeah, that's the feel you get, hey. And like you said, you need those guys at some point. So what point do you get him? And right now, if you thought he was value at the start of the year, he's 70K less than what he started the year. So by that logic, if you think he's back and he's solid, then...
And I always like, if a guy's injured or whatever, and he's very lowly owned, like no one has Sam Doherty because they all trade him out after his injury, but he has the ceiling to really get away from teams. If you have the opportunity and ability to get a player like that in, I think you pull the trigger on that one because he's the kind of guy that can, when everyone else is trying to get him in later and he's shot up in price, it can be difficult to do so.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that's guaranteed to be top 3 or 4 in his line. So
what if
I
you
like
could,
him as a target.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was going to ask you a question, but we'll leave that one for now. Whitfield.
Yeah. So he, remind me what he did on the weekend.
So he's gone back-to-back 100s. I think he went like 103 or something, and then he went 110 the previous week. But the thing with Whitfield is that...
coming out of the side.
Cummings going, and the run leading into their round...
Yes, you have highlighted this, yes. So he comes up against St Kilda this week, which we know is a juicy matchup for defenders.
But then he's also got like North and Richmond or something?
So Geelong after that, tougher one, but then, Richmond, North, Freo, leading into his round 15 bye.
Yeah, so there's some games where they would suit Whitfield too.
Yes, and he does have a good average I'm looking at here at GMHBA.
He's currently priced like he's like 780 or something.
795.
790, okay. So the issue...
Price at 93.
Some of these guys that I'm looking at and thinking, oh, maybe that's an option this week.
It's not obvious.
It's not obvious, and there's a couple of them that fall into that category of, me personally, my backline's looking pretty chockers at the minute. Yep. So I'm kind of like justifying to myself, do I go for one of these mids that I'm not really confident in, or do I go for a guy that I feel more confident? Like, let's say a Doherty is going to be top 6 on the defensive line, knowing that I can swing like a Dawson into the midfield, because Dawson could be going close to being a top 8 mid. So
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Where do you sit?
I think it's okay with a player like Doherty, like a guy who can match it with the best mids when he's at the best of his game. But not those guys like Whitfield or those guys that clearly are a step behind the premium midfielders.
Okay, yeah.
So I would only be at, like, if, say, you've already got 6 defenders that are considered premiums or whatever, if you go into that guy that, like we said, can match it with the best mids.
Yep.
Because the reason we don't want multiple or more than 6 defenders and forwards is because they don't score as well as the mids.
Yes, but if you think that's...
But if Doherty is the guy that can do that, then I think that's where you maybe potentially make an exception if you can get there.
Hopefully people are not getting the rain noise in our mics. I can't imagine they would be.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
But, yeah, it's raining pretty
Raining up here in Brizzy. All right, into the midfield. So there's a few options that I still do like. Josh Kelly with that Giants run that you just mentioned. Again, coming up against St Kilda this week, and then a couple of good matchups before his bye as well. Priced at 106. I think there's still value there. Zach Merritt, who we mentioned last week. This is the start of his good run. So he's got the 3 juicy matchups. So I think he is going to be a really good unique. Brad Crouch has come down in price, and he is now priced at... where did I have him here? He's now priced at 98. So someone who, again, can go stretches of sort of 110, 115 plus. So there's a bit of a value option at 137,000. And Jai Simpkin as another cheap option is someone that I also do like as well, especially if LDU misses. I know Simpkin hasn't put the numbers up so far this season, but like we said, if he's all you can get to as a bit of an upgrade from someone a bit cheaper, I do still think that he has, 95 in him.
Yep.
And he's priced at 83. So there's sort of 10 to 12 points of upside in a pick like that. And he's the kind of guy that he's got the round 15 buy as well. So it's a really handy player that he's not quite the premium, but you can run into his round 15 buy and then trade him on his buy to someone who's already had their buy. And you don't feel bad about moving on a player like that, if that makes sense.
CBAs were already pretty high.
Yep.
With LDU and the team. So there's not going to be a bump in CBAs per se, but do you think that there's just a bump in usage because there's one less midfielder to be looked at?
Well, I think he's just someone that he hasn't quite hit his strides yet in the season, but we know he's capable. Like he's gone back-to-back 100-plus second half seasons, a second half of the last 2 seasons. So he is capable of it. I think obviously in the last game, tough matchup against Port Adelaide as well. North, they do have another tough matchup against the Swans, but I think it does get a little bit easier after that. Jokes, Collingwood the week after. So, look, the run isn't the best. Essendon, Giants.
You're really selling this, mate.
Essendon, Giants, Bulldogs leading into his bye. It could be worse. Look, I just think that if you're looking for someone really cheap and you're struggling to get up to those 800, 900K guys, 708,000.
It's cheap. It's really
you can
cheap.
downgrade Warple to him, make money, and I'd probably back Simpkin to outscore Warple the rest of the season. But yeah, it is that cheaper option.
Interesting option. We've got a couple of speculators here. So
yes.
Lairdy's an interesting one. He's cheap compared to what he started the year at. Obviously, it'd be an interesting time to trade him in. His break-even, I think, is still be reasonably high. And obviously, he's just had some talk about him for the last couple of weeks, which has just been weird.
Things that keep popping up with him, hey?
Yeah, it's real strange, and it never seems to eventuate to anything. Like, he always seems to play and he always seems to score reasonably well. So he could be a trade-in target, but...
Yeah, priced at 108, he could easily put... Like, if he was fit and healthy in the top of his game, he could put 10 points on that. Easy. Those question marks are still there, though, so...
Yeah.
It is a tough one, but... Look, with the other options around, like, I'd be happy to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Do you think Atkins is still an option?
Rory Atkins? No, I think the ship has sailed.
Yeah. So if you're not there,
he's over 500,000. I don't like him as an upgrade target.
Yep.
Like we said before, I want my upgrade to be a legit upgrade. So if you're upgrading a rookie to him, he scored 75 on the weekend. Sharp went out and scored 70. Pedler outscored him.
Yeah.
We've seen Holland score more than that in the past. So I was always viewing him in the last 2 weeks as a downgrade option.
Yeah, or like a rookie sideways.
Or a sideways, or like a non-playing rookie to him. Like, those were the options where it was okay.
Yeah.
Whereas now at 500K plus, his break-even, it will quickly come up. So his break-even is 17. So he's still going to make a decent amount of money, but that will start to come up quickly, and I think the cash is no longer worth it at this point. So if I've missed him, I'm not going to get him in.
If Wardlaw gets named for North Melbourne with all their injuries, he's an expensive rookie. Is he an option that you go to, or does it not feel as good when you have to pay $290, $280?
Look, if it still gets you your guy, I think that's the kind of player that you would hope has at least a bit of a run in him.
Yeah.
That North, the LDU's out.
Yeah.
He's done his hammy. They're a poor side. They've got to get games into these young kids. He was a high draft pick.
Yeah.
There's some good raps about the kid as well. So you would expect that he might get a little bit of inside time, if not like on the wing or something like that, with a decent enough role. So you would hope that he would be okay. So based on the other options, I think I'd be happy to jump on him.
Yeah.
Week 1. But yeah, he will come at a bit of a premium. But yeah, as long as it allows you to get your upgrade, I'd be okay with it.
So similarly priced now is Sharp, who you missed last week. A couple of things you mentioned before. He's increased in value, but he's also got the round 12 buy as well. Does that kind of eliminate him from calculations? Because I
don't know if it eliminates him.
Well, I think what he said he's done
last week. But
it's not all about you, mate. We're trying to give advice to other people.
No, I should have had him over him last week to give advice, but I really don't know.
The most traded in player currently this week, which...
Fair enough. He's -7. If he's named this week, he will make some money. And I think at this point, it's almost like you just got to try and take that, you know what I mean? And he's looked good. Like, I watched the week before, and he looked good, looked hungry for the ball. He looked sharp, very well done. But But yeah, I think the concern I have is that Daniel Rich comes back in the side, Wilmot goes back onto that wing, and then Sharp's out.
Yeah.
That was my fear. Maybe he's playing well enough to hold his spot over someone like a Wilmot who's been in there for the entire season so far. I don't know how long Rich was out. I'm pretty sure it was a test last week, so I don't think he's too far away. And like we said, round 12 bye, he's got 2 more rounds to make money. And it always is a bit concerning getting rookies just ahead of their bye because teams go away for a week. It's almost like this reset. If you were last in the team, you're almost like first out with a week off.
See ya.
Yeah, so it's I never feel good about it, but he will, if he's named this week, he will make some cash. So that's always nice.
Let's quickly talk about a fella who I reckon's, going to be in a few people's
trade plans?
sites.
Yes.
Yeah, Bailey Smith. So I mentioned him off the top in Bogs and Flogs, but the CBA numbers were back. So if you said to me, hey, Luke, he will have that many CBAs for the rest of the year, I reckon I'd just about trade him in this week.
Yeah.
But the Bevo inconsistency just kills you, doesn't it?
It's all over the shop. Like we said, Jack McRae, 2 CBAs. Trelaw was injured. How long is he out for? Caleb Daniels still getting CBAs in that side as well.
It's like he just flips a coin week to week, eh?
Yeah, and the annoying thing is that they won, right? So, I mean, maybe not annoying for Bailey Smith's rule, but it just reinforces that Bevo could do whatever the fuck he wants. And, whatever. They win the game. No questions asked, right? But it's frustrating in terms of how can we predict what he's going to do. The other thing I want to draw our attention to as well is 70% time on ground.
Yep.
When he was playing and scoring those big scores last year, he was playing 90+% time on ground.
Yeah.
Now, the CBAs were so high that I think it still is a net positive.
Negated that, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of negates that. And I think if he's that, what was it, 85% that he was?
Yeah, it was up there.
Yeah, so if he's an 85% midfielder, this guy has potential. He could be a 110 guy.
Yeah.
But my confidence in him doing that and being 85% is quite low. He's priced at 95. So, look, he's unique.
Would it be a play if you had an unfinished forward line? Like you're probably not looking at it through the lens because if you had to trade him in, it would be as a midfielder. But if you had the unfinished forward line, would you look at it as a serious option?
I think he's probably the best trade-in target as a forward right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, that to answer your question.
Okay.
If we compare him to, like, Doherty, like we talked about earlier in terms of, like, the guy that you trade in regardless because he can match it with those mids, I don't think I could confidently say Bailey Smith is on that level yet.
Yeah. What about Butters or Bailey Smith? I think Butters you have to pay a little bit extra for. But
I think because of the potential upside, they're very close in price now. There's probably about, 30K between them. Yeah. I think I'd go Bailey Smith now.
Okay.
In the hopes that just because I think he's got a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
And he's more unique.
Butters' role looks good, but
Butters' role looks good, and we've been pumping Butters. So chances are, if you haven't got Butters, you're just ignoring our advice on Butters at this stage. So, but now I might consider taking a punt on Bailey Smith, depending on how. If you're ranked highly, for example, maybe you go Butters and use the safety of numbers.
Safe, yeah.
If you're a bit further back, Bailey Smith could be that unique ticket with a high ceiling that could jump you up the ranks.
Yeah.
They're close, but I'd probably give Bailey Smith a slight edge. What are your thoughts? Are you keen on the mullet?
I couldn't do it to myself this week, I don't think. Like I'm in the same situation as you where currently Butters is in my midfield, but if Butters swings down with DPPs,
if everyone was in their preferred positions,
then my
forwards.
6 forwards are sort of done at this stage. I say done, but it'll probably change pretty 15 million times by the end of the season. But so that kind of leans me away from Smith because I would be trading him in as an additional forward. But if you see a couple of weeks of that, it'd be hard to ignore.
Yeah, I think one more week. The tough thing as well is Trelaw being out. It's like, how long is Trelaw out and what happens when he gets back in? There's always that hanging over my head with that kind of a situation. And the volatility it gives me pause still. So, yeah.
Should we spend the last 10 minutes answering some questions?
Absolutely. What have we got here? What have the people got for us?
Do it. First one on the Twitter sphere. Is Parnell an option? Everyone jumped on Ratkins after a ton at his price. I'm not sure. I don't feel like he's an option. I think the reason people jumped on Ratkins is because The Gold Coast game plan started to look very friendly. There was a lot of chippy.
Yeah.
Parnell's also he's like effectively a rookie. He's like I think
400K.
second season.
400K, he just scored a ton, so he hit 100. Let's keep in mind, though, that it was against St Kilda.
Yeah.
Okay, and they had that game well in hand by the end there, so they were chipping it around a fair bit. He does come up against the Dogs at Mars Stadium, so positive matchup, but his break-even is 34, so different to Atkins, who was in the negatives. There was a little bit of that, Atkins has scored 80s in the past, like he's averaged 80 for a season.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that history. I couldn't pull the trigger on a Patrick Parnell.
Just a general question here, and we've kind of answered it, but I'll touch on it again, is which rookies should we hold, buy, and sell? As always, cheers for everything, lads. Appreciate that comment. But what I'd be looking at is their break-even.
Yep.
First of all, have a little look at their run, maybe their next 3 or so. But the main thing that we keep coming back to is trade the ones that get you to the players that you want. And it's
premiums dictate the rookies you trade at this point.
So no point going to a halfway house and thinking, I get to keep Hollands and I get to keep Pedlar. Like, don't worry about it. Try to get to the premiums and even
I mean, that's my philosophy. Look, I could be wrong here, and this week. Again, it's tough to tell because obviously the guy I traded in scored 3, but I traded out a Pedlar who went well, and I've traded out a Chandler in the past, and he's turned up the next week.
Yep.
But I think in the long run, you're going to be rewarded. Like Chandler put up that ton, he went back-to-back 30 and 40 point scoring. So yeah, that like if they put a good score on your head and the people who held him get a bit more cash, like at the end of the day, it's maybe like 20, 30, 40K. But if you get that premium ahead, that 1 week ahead of other guys,
don't judge trades after a week.
I think that is probably more an advantage, and that's just my thoughts. But yeah, it could be wrong, but I think most times than not, you're going to come out on top.
Let me run a couple of names by you. I'm guessing I know the answer. Mitch Duncan. Cheap. Oh,
yes. Mitch Duncan, you can do
32, mate. You've just ticked off a 32-year-old. That's blasphemous coming from you.
Well. At this point, he's cheap. He's got the round 13 bye.
What scenario would you do that in then? Because you're not. I don't think you're doing it.
I'm not doing it because.
So tell me, what scenario do you have to be in to trade in Mitch Duncan?
Well, you're strapped for cash, which covers 90% of the competition, and you're missing a defender. You're looking at your buys right now, and you're heavy on round 14, 15, or 12, or something like that. And
he's only had one good score.
He's had
it's last week.
So
I mean, it's like
he's had the 127. He's had the 109.
But just like last week, he's coming off like 60, 50, and then 100.
I think that
looks so bad.
It's risky. The last 2 games, 86, 109. I think.
But who'd they play last week?
Richmond.
There you go. Top 4 easiest teams to score against.
Comes up against Freo Giants, West Coast. Western Bulldogs. A couple of decent matchups in there.
I'd be sketchy as telling people to go there.
Look, I'm not saying it with any confidence. I'm just saying that if that's like your upgrade from a rookie, I don't hate it. I think it's okay.
Matt Kennedy.
Yeah, did Roy actually do this?
Yeah, he did.
Oh my God. I don't know how he pulled the trigger on that, but yeah, hey, good call.
Coming off 2 subs, eh?
Scored at 95, price at 647. What would that be as a price at? That'd be priced at about a 76. He did average 90, I think mid-90s the year before. The worrying sign is Blues lost. So is that maybe a remedy for them to continue to tinker around with that midfield? He's got a tough matchup against Collingwood this week, who are the hardest for teams to score against for midfielders. Break even is 88, so he's not going to absolutely shoot up in price from you as well. So I think this is a guy that you can probably wait on another week and get more data. I don't feel super confident in a Matt Kennedy at this stage.
Let's have a look here. Ranked just inside the 1,000. Well done.
Well done. Who's this?
Thinking of going Whitfield, or do you play the safe option and go for Cornelio with the high ownership percentage?
Whitfield versus Cornelio. So Whitfield,
I think it's about 100K. Oh, it's like 100, maybe just less than 100K difference in price.
let me have a look at what that is. So Whitfield priced at 93, 795,000. Cornelio priced at 102, 873,000. I think you're probably paying fair value on both.
Yeah.
So if you're choosing between those two, I'd probably lock in the guy that's more a certainty to be top in their line and go Cogs.
If I was ranked just inside the 1,000, I'd go Cogs.
Yeah, I think I'd probably do that too. If it's between those two, I'd be tempted to look elsewhere as well. Like I'd be tempted to look at a Bailey Smith and who's on the same buy as a Cogs.
The GWS run's good.
It is good.
A guy like Cogs could go 120 the next 3 weeks.
I just wonder if like the 60k you're saving from Cogs doesn't help you the next week, and we talked about that before.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of continuing to make that upgrade each week.
Yeah.
If you don't have I would still rank Smith and Butters ahead of a Cogs.
Yeah.
But if you're pretty set on Cogs, I think it's a fine move. It's a defensive play. But like I said, they've got a good run, so I'd probably go there over Whitfield, just because I don't see Whitfield as a guy who's like 100 plus, which he would need to be at that price.
Any scenario where you trade out Steele? If he's not playing. Okay. Other than that,
I find these always very tough, because if you suspect a guy's like playing through like a niggle or something like that, I can just never. It's hard for me to tell those kind of things. He had ice on his knee. It's never a good sign.
The scenario that Mitchell here has put to us is get rid of Steele and potentially get him and Hollands, and then bring in Whitfield and Duncan.
Feels very sidewaysy.
It's very speculative, isn't it?
So Steele's round 12, Hollands round 15. Does that fix the buys? Who's the other guy? Whitfield and Duncan.
So Duncan's good.
So
for
you got a 13. I would explore other options. If Steele's named, I would explore options to hold Steele and get Hollands up to one of those guys another way. Because Hollands to a Duncan, it doesn't cost that much. That'd be less than 200k.
Yeah, it's not a great deal.
You could do like a Wilmot down to someone and get Hollands up on the other end, I reckon, pretty easily.
Yeah,
even if you've got no cash. So
yeah, I think that's
I think because then you've got Duncan and Steele on your ground versus Duncan and Whitfield.
Yeah.
Like, I still think, unless there's a lot of news coming out this week that he's like playing through something really sore, I probably would try to hold Steele if he's named.
This question here is Setterfield a hold. I'll answer that. Yes, he is a hold.
Yeah, baby.
If you've got him, stay with him, because Darcy Parish.
Great hold. Good hold, my man.
Darcy Parish has done his calf, and apparently Merritt can't get a CBA. So Setterfield's a great hold.
Said a goat.
Do I keep Mills? I think this comment's just to make you cry, mate.
Yeah.
The cast's at least 2 weeks, isn't it?
Oh, fuck.
You don't rush. If you're Sydney, you're not rushing back a soft tissue.
No.
I wouldn't have thought anyway.
No. Fucking hell, he's going to be so cheap.
This is an interesting
What's
question.
his break even? Actually, his break even's 147. He's already at 739k.
That sucks.
He's going to go into the 600s when he's back, and we are all going to be jumping on him.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Shit
Anyway,
house.
no, you trade him.
This is an interesting one. Is Sinclair a top 6 defender? I think my answer's no now.
Well, who is your top 6 defender? Let's run through them. Like,
we're going to do a roll in 6 defenders.
Yeah, just off the top of your head here.
Righto.
So, let's go together. So, Dacos.
Yep. Dawson.
Doc. Dacos, Dawson, Doc, the Ds.
Okay. Triple Ds. Oops.
Who else? So they're locked in there. Would you say let's assume Jaden Short gets defender status?
Okay, then you're putting Shorty in there.
Do you reckon he's in there? He keeps playing mid, maybe not.
Yeah, fuck. But then he played mid and played well on the weekend.
Yeah, but Richmond played well, and that might not keep up.
Does Sicily get in there?
I think I'd rather Sinclair than Sicily. They're pretty close to me.
What's Sinclair averaging at the moment? It doesn't. Maybe it's just been so underwhelming since last year.
I think he'll just be thereabouts. I think you've got Tom Stewart, Sinclair, Sick Dog.
What about Hayden Young, bro?
Will Day, Hayden Young. I think all those kind of guys are going to be.
What about Z-Bull?
In the mix.
He's easily in there on average, and then
Sheasel. I'm there in my forward line right now, so I'm not considering them. But
I mean, he's
again
on the
though.
fringe.
I think they're all like mid to high 90s at best.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's a big clump of them there. So
you could almost have any of them and be competitive in terms of like that top 6 forward
I think if you want to go them, the thing that gives me confidence about Sinclair is that he's gone like mid hundreds before.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see that this season though because of
Different
the
game style.
rise of Wangani Manila as well,
Yeah.
who's also sharing a bit of that distributor role.
Yeah.
So he was like 103 or something last year. I think he's more like 95, 96 this year.
Yeah.
Which again is in that mix. So, yeah.
A couple
in
of
and around it.
quick fire ones. Zeret or Jelly?
I'm gonna go Merit, just
Both-
because of the run.
Both got a good run.
I think most people also will be heavier on round 15 buy players. I
Yeah.
think the majority of teams would benefit from a round 14 buy player than a round 15.
Merit's slightly cheaper, about
Merit's
10,
slightly
20,
cheaper,
20K.
better run, probably a better buy as well.
Yeah.
So I'll go Merit.
What do you think about Hunt to Doherty? That was one thing I did well. My trade outs
Yeah.
were all right this
Trades
week.
have been good.
Hunt,
Yeah.
Hunt out was not
Hunt
a bad
out.
one.
So yes, Hunt's Doherty, tick, 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 massive
Tick
tick.
that off. Beautiful.
That's a flex. That's not a question.
Now that I like this one, now that Kennedy's fucked Chera, do we just ride the pain till the buy or try to get off before? I mean, Chera, you got hurt this week, but you've had hopefully for this person
Hope
they've
you didn't trade
had
him in this week.
3 130s or whatever it was. So
Yeah,
you got to
run-
hold that.
You run him to the buy, I
Yeah.
think. Although he has a couple of tough matchups, but yeah, you hold him to the buy. Hope he doesn't lose too much cash.
Okay.
And then if he's still stinking up, you trade him off around 15.
Couple more questions and then we'll go hang out with our partners. Is Goulden a must?
Oh, what's he priced at now? He's gone 900, isn't he?
No. He's still in the 8s.
No, 907.
Oh, Jeepers creepers.
Jeepers. At this price, no, he's not a must. Priced at 106. I don't actually think he's going to be able to keep that up for the rest of the season. Did he have CBAs with Mills out? Let me double check.
I think he did have CBAs. I think he had maybe 10, something like that. 10, 13, something.
Yeah, so 15. So
15.
He's up there. Look, it sucks. He's going to keep getting more expensive.
Imagine watching those last 2 weeks. without him.
Oh, that's rough.
That's the Calvinator, I think.
Yeah, Calvin. Yeah. Oh, and guess who he's got this week? North.
Ooh.
Ooh, at Marvel. It's a
3
lot to
150s.
pay for him, though. 106 for a guy.
Well, if 2 weeks ago you wouldn't have paid that, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, you'd be like, "Ooh, is he even a mid-90s guy?"
He's cheaper than Cogs. He's cheaper than...
Is he cheaper than Cox?
Yeah, Cogs is cheaper than him. Sorry. Sorry, mate. Yeah, Cogs
Yeah.
is cheaper than Errol.
Yeah.
Bailey Smith, cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, I think at this point, you're better off letting him go and going for a different forward. Would be my opinion. As tough as it has been to watch this last couple of weeks if you don't have him.
All right, 3 more questions for you. So, I'll try and answer this one. Are we getting Oliver or Merritt for Mills? My thing would still be Merritt because of the potential value there.
Yeah.
But if you
Oliver's
go,
priced at 117.
yeah, I mean, if you go to Oliver and you
Getting
just
closer to...
lock it away, I'm not going to vehemently talk you out of that. But I think there's more value for Merritt potentially with that run.
Oliver has Port Adelaide this week. Last year, he put up a 65, I think, from memory.
I think he
against
actually
Port
has a
Adelaide.
reasonably tough 3-week run.
Okay, yeah,
Melbourne,
because he's
so-
come off the back of a good run.
Yeah, check that out for us. But I'm pretty sure it's a little bit
let's
tougher for Melbourne in the next little bit.
Have a look
So
at Melbourne's run. You keep going. That's the next question. I'll bring up Melbourne's run.
this one I actually don't mind. Dawson, cheeky one for the Brownlow. I think he could be. Hey, that's for me. That's been one of the moves of the season from an AFL perspective. Is Adelaide getting him in the midfield? So
He looks like a gun.
he does look like a gun, and it's a pleasure to have him in the team.
So Oliver goes Port Adelaide, Freo, Carlton, Collingwood into his bye. Coming out of his bye, then has Geelong as well.
It's not a good run.
3 out of those next 5 teams are quite tough, and Carlton and Freo are sort of middle of the pack, so nothing super easy in there either. So he might be a guy that we target after the buys.
Beautiful.
As painful as that is.
I think we've addressed most of the questions, hopefully, guys. If we haven't, hit us up on Twitter or in the YouTube comment section. We'll try to get around to a few as well. And we haven't for a couple of episodes, but we'll shout out the Content Creators Cup as well. You're going really well, I think. You're up in third.
Unfortunately, the Mills injury led to a loss this week, so I held my spot, though, still at 3. Where is this bloody Content Creators Cup? So 4th right now. Destroy Roy took over me in the standings and I think also in the overall ladder. But one little blip. Hopefully we can come back from this. So.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm sort of trending in the right direction, although actually no, I'm not. I'm going back. I'm back to fucking second last. But I think the Mills injury was the difference between a win and a loss for me, unfortunately, this week. But
can I also just give a shout out real quick?
Yeah.
The Ball Boys, we haven't spoken about this league much, but the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Open Classic League now has the number 1 ranked player in our league.
Actually?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Flea Baggers, Jonathan F. Shout out to you, mate. He is number 1 ranked overall.
You know
we
what
also have number 5 and number 11 in our league as well. So
those guys listen to the podcast so they know what not to do. I'm certain of it.
I'm hopefully. Let me just check.
I'm certain
Flea
they listen.
Baggers team, but hopefully he didn't trade in Mills. No, he didn't. He has the Brayshaw.
They listen to us Muppets and they go, okay, I know exactly what not to do.
Don't do that. Don't do that. But shout out to you boys. So that's Jonathan, Josh, and Bailey, who are all sort of right in the mix there for that car. So
good on you, fellas.
We're cheering on you boys. Hopefully you can do the Ball Boys proud. So
yeah, well
shout
done
out to those fellas. And we do also have a few other guys in that hat chase as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
Just quickly before we go, Mitch buddy cut me off, but the reason that we were talking about the Content Creators Cup is because Guesty is obviously sponsoring that, and the winner gets to donate a considerable amount of money to charity, and that's all through Guesty's company, Infinite Wealth, over in WA there. So if you want to jump online, just type in Infinite Wealth. You can get all the information about that, some financial advice and whatnot. It's
I think he's giving away a like a module thing that you can go do to help you with your finances.
Don't try and bloody.
I'm trying to chip in and help.
Don't try and spruik it again, mate. You fucked it up last time. Let's just let Guesty talk about it. Go at his bloody website.
It's got free shit for you guys to have. So go and get that free shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much.
I've got to do mine soon, actually. That's a good reminder. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And make sure if you are watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. We've got to get those thumbs up. I know a couple of thumbs ups have been down recently with the one that I did by myself. It was considerably...
Oh, did you get a thumb down for that?
Well, considerably fewer thumbs up. So now that we've got Rojo back and the dad jokes are back...
I thought you got your first thumbs down, mate.
We get thumbs down all the time. But,
do we?
But give us some thumbs up and make sure you guys are subscribed. If you haven't already as well, go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star rating and review if you are enjoying the in-season content as well. And we will catch you guys on Friday for the live show. And until then, good luck with all your trade plans. Laters.